Hello, my crafty friend, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's junk journal flip through video. I am over the moon for this one here. It is one of my absolute favorite themes. I love stargazing and looking into astrology and things like that, and just anything celestial is my cup of tea. So yeah, I put together a journal filled with all things reminiscent of the beauty and magic of nighttime. The back is this really gorgeous brocade material that was gifted to me from May in Saudi Arabia. So thank you, May, for that beautiful stuff. And the cover also has a very special fabric from May, and it is underneath this dossier of paper. So you kind of get two covers in one with this journal. There's the kind of dossier, or what do they call these? Kind of like a faux document folio. But underneath that, you have these incredible Technicolor sequined golden, just beautiful flowers on a black background. So the pocket is a strip of sari trim. I stitched, you can kind of see the string. So yeah, I stitched down this piece of salvaged junk jewelry. The center of the pearl, or the faux pearl, has a bit of a scuff on it, but that's kind of what makes a junk journal special, right? The patina, the sign of wear on the things used in it. I made a little cloud out of a fussy cut bit of another sari trim and stuck this enameled star cluster on top of it. That was actually a vintage earring, but I snipped the back off and stuck it down, and I think it's just possibly one of the prettiest journal covers I've ever made. I've had this fabric from May in my stash for a long time, and I've been finally cutting into it and using it. There was a little bit in my last journal too. But yeah, let's get into this dossier of papers. So I tied it up with some black dyed hemp string and added this, just luscious, doesn't it look, oh my goodness, gothic and vintage and perfect. Not perfect because two of the little rhinestones are missing, but I still think it looks beautiful. I'll set that aside. So yeah, some black twine. And these are quite possibly the things I'm the most excited about in this whole journal. They're paper prints I made of antique jewelry. I stuck them on just with some washi tape, so you can peel that off and glue it down somewhere if you'd like to. Or you can do some journaling on the backs of these. I inked the edges so they'd be great little fussy cut journal, secret journaling spots. But yeah, that's on a strip of wallpaper. I had beautiful long fingernails until I took apart the wallpaper book that this background and this strip came out of yesterday. But yeah, the sun and the moon, and this star and some of the other paper jewelry bits throughout the book are in a new printable kit that I designed specifically for this journal called Night Magic, obviously. So yeah, those sit there. And then the dossier is made from this beautiful night sky themed printable paper that, oh, I forget the name of the shop. Oh, Liana Scrap. Liana Scrap is the name of the designer for this paper. But the way I put it together, whoops, I used a couple of brads, so you can take the brads off and actually remove each individual piece of paper that's in this little folio to be used and played with. There's a star chart showing illustrations of all the constellations. A check out of a book from the 1930s about accounting in Canada. A print I made on tracing paper of an original French document in my collection from the 1600s. And I think it printed so cool because you can actually see the writing on the other side of that document. Some original 1960s ledger. Nice to see the old, beautifully written handwriting, isn't it? Of course, lots of empty space for journaling. Some antique music paper. An Austrian receipt from 1950. This was a gift from the lovely Angelica. And a page out of a 1935 music book. So right away, before we even open the cover, there's a fun little collection of paper goodies for you. And I'll tie that up again after I do the flip through. I don't want to get too caught up in that. But yeah, the closure is just some nice purple ribbon. And when we open it up, you can see I've gone with lots of different shades of blue. So the background here is an original piece of wallpaper. The pocket is some lovely blue trim that I've actually used upside down to give it kind of a mountains and hills in the foreground look with this garden-y background paper. I took some a constellation page out of a scrapbook pad, and on the other side of that I put this beautiful painting from the 1500s that I found in a art history textbook. And the name of the painting is Jupiter and Io, and of course those are names of two, well, Jupiter and Io is the main moon around Jupiter, but this shows the ancient Greek myth that gave those planetary bodies their name, which is kind of cool in a celestial journal. This little tag booklet includes prints made by Priscilla of Release the Crafton, the triple moon, the waxing, full, and waning. And symbolically, they represent the three phases of femininity, being a young maiden, a mother, and an old crone. On the other side, there's some of this lovely print from one of my favorite printable kits. You see this in a lot of my journals, Boho Bohemian Bazaar. Really lovely. So that sits in here. We have some vintage tickets for your collaging pleasure, and a little scrapbook page, moon and star, that would be great for you to write the intention for this journal. I've inked the back to make it look a little bit antiqued, so you could also use that as a journaling card. The front page, oops, these got a little bit stuck in there. The front page is another design by Priscilla at Release the Crafton, and I used a little sequined embellishment to create a tuck spot for these lucky koi fish playing cards. These were also from Angelica. Super cute. And of course, this makes a great title page because you can write your name, maybe the date that you started the journal. On the other side, there's a beautiful original Victorian scrapbook ephemera piece. And the patina on the back is original. This is not inked or printed in any way. That's exactly how it came out of a scrapbook from the 1870s. And I couldn't resist including it because of that lovely full moon. Here we have another 1950 receipt from Angelica from Austria. This is one of my hand-painted Lalique brooches that I fussy cut and stuck down onto the back. More of that Release the Crafton imagery. A beautiful owl. You'll see that night owls come in a few times in this night magic themed journal. I'm gonna try to get nicely in frame here. So this page might just be my favorite spread of the entire journal. I have clipped onto this little strip of 1960s ledger paper, fussy cut 3 more of those digital designs in my Night Magic Ephemera printable pack. The crescent moons made out of gorgeous opal and diamonds, and then the full moon represented by another opal diamond cluster brooch. So the back of this has just a little bit of a piano, a player piano roll glued down so you get some journaling space. But I thought that just looked so good there as the centerpiece of this cluster of papers. We have another of these pretty labels. Again, inked on the back so you can use that as journaling space. And how cute is this star and moon paper clip? I love those little things. So a little piece of paper accented with a couple fussy cut stars from that printable pack. A little tuck spot made out of fairies under a full moon. And I've printed vintage images of the star, the sun, and the moon tarot cards that can be glued down somewhere as pockets or embellishments, or you can use them as journal cards. And a shooting star, you can make a lovely wish on that. That's also one of the papers in that printable kit. So is this star sapphire with a diamond star in the center. This little envelope can be used for journaling space. You can write anything you want in there, and it would be a cute little secret journaling spot. And of course we have a zodiac wheel. This is also one of the digital printables in my ephemera pack. Not the envelope. The envelope is another one by Priscilla. Here is a really pretty book image. This was an illustration in a vintage Dutch book that I found at a local thrift shop. And then this precious little bit is a piece of a book from the 1800s from Austria. That was another Angelica gift. Some paper that I coffee dyed. I made a tuck spot using some fussy cut sari trim and a little bit of coffee dyed blue paper with another of those little stars. And in it I put a waterhouse painting of, just such a beautiful image of Circe. She's a demi-goddess, one of the original witches, and she's doing a stunning water ritual here. Of course, edges are inked, so that could be a little journaling spot, or you could use it as a bookmark. And the French fairy tale castle stamp here is from the 1960s, and it just looks like such a beautiful scene. I thought it went well with this Circe kind of bookmark piece because of the water in the foreground and clearly the blue night sky in the background. And on the next page, tucked under this paper clip, I made a bookmark with a pocket using a decoupaged napkin. This is painted by a First Nations artist here in Canada. Sadly, I lost the package that these napkins came in, so I don't remember her name offhand, but I did do a craft with me video once using some of these napkins. And in that I mentioned the name of the artist and which tribe she's from. But yeah, little sari trim decorations on the top and embellishments from May on the bottom. And it's backed with some of this gorgeous coffee dyed paper by May. And inside the pocket, I put another little printed journaling card or bookmark, however you want to use that, of the Oracle of Delphi. And that's another waterhouse painting. I just love the way the fabrics are draped over her and the way the steam is painted by the artist. It gives it such a mystical look. And yeah, I put a paper clip just because this kind of wanted to slide out of the pocket before it was tacked down. So how stunning is this owl double page spread? These are also printables by Priscilla at Release the Craftin'. I'll put the names of the designers who I've used in the description box for those who want to look them up. But I collaged over it with the title of one of my vintage books in my crafting collection, called The Star Rover. Just perfect book title for this particular journal. And I made a little pocket using a miniature envelope and tucked into there a couple of lovely butterfly stickers that you can obviously use to decorate your journal. The top flap has a genuine little piece of plant material. Very delicate. As you can see, it's crumbling even as I touch it. And the other decoration here is a little wax seal that I stamped in, showing a mountain scene in a forest with a UFO that has some tractor beams coming down from it. Fun little detail. I like adding quirky little bits like that. And then inside this mini envelope, I've put 2 original space-themed postage stamps. So we have Apollo 11 with the Earth way in the background there and the surface of the moon in the foreground. That's an original stamp. And also a moon stamp from the USA. Fun little journaling space on the back. And not only is that a little pocket, but also these pages, I left them open on the sides and stuffed them with more goodies. So here you have another of those lovely Angelica receipts to play with. 10th November 1950. Look at the beautiful signature on the bottom. And inside I put an original postcard. This was one of my favorite postcard finds from the town of Fort Macleod, Alberta, that has my absolute favorite antique store in the world for finding vintage crystal jewelry and charm bracelets. I haven't bought one yet. They've always been priced a little bit out of my budget, but amazing, amazing ephemera pieces as well. So we see this gorgeous couple overlooking the hills, maybe stargazing with their little tea table in the foreground. And never used, so that would be some great journaling space. I wanted to scan that and add it to one of my digital printable kits, but there was no date on the back, so I'm not sure whether it's a public domain image or not. A little cluster more of these genuine flowers. Those were gifts from Cat Stone, those pretty little flower bits. And tucked into this one, I put another original postcard. Look at how sumptuous these stair details are leading into this beautiful temple. My Auntie Marilyn found this for me, garage sailing one day. She brought a stack of these stunning temple postcards. And then stamps representing all the zodiac sign symbols, the phases of the moon, and the 4 elements. Just super cool. Here I made a little fabric flip revealing a smaller shrunken down version of that Circe. Some more coffee dyed paper from May, creating a little pocket to show this public domain image that's also in my new Night Magic printable kit. It's like little stars playing on a moonbeam, using it like a slide. Super cool. And the full moon smiling down on them. That's a strip out of a kid's book. And I turned it into a tiny little pocket, added one of the shooting star prints. And I added that because the words shooting star are right there on the page. So lots of good journaling space at the top. And in the pocket, I tucked a sun and moon that I ripped out of that Dutch book, that vintage Dutch book. So those would look really, really beautiful glued down on some paper. Kind of use a glue stick and stick them down somewhere like stickers, or just leave them in the pocket. Another page from Priscilla. Another journaling card. This is yet another image in my new printable kit. And on the paper clip, this might just be my favorite physical thing in the book of all the real jewelry. I made this pendant so you can actually take it out and wear it as a piece of jewelry. The star is a stone called Sodalite, and that's a genuine stone. It's not fake, real gem there. Sodalite is known as a stone for third eye awakening, so it's a great one to wear for increased intuition and developing your psychic abilities. And there's this beautiful star charm, star bead beneath it. And that's sitting on some coffee dyed paper from May. This was a lovely piece of paper from Cat Stone, and I coffee dyed the back of it, and I just love the look of these two coffee dyed page layers. This is a painting from the Victorian era, and although it's not necessarily night themed, it definitely looks like a twilight scene in this beautiful, luscious jungle. I just love that flower. It might be a passion flower. If you know your botanicals, let me know. More paper that I coffee dyed with a sari trim tab. This page by Leanna Scrap, it's actually the same exact image that I used as the cover of this dossier. So you can kind of see it folded in two different ways here. Yeah, I just love that image. I think that was the very first printable kit that I ever purchased. This Night Sky kit by Leanna Scrap. I just love how she's decorated every little bit of the page and the black ink doodles of flowers and lots of journaling space. Another page from that same kit. One of my own coffee dyed papers. I folded up the corner before coffee dyeing it, and I think that gives it some really cute, aged look to it. I made a tuck spot out of an illustrated children's book that I found thrifting. A beautiful princess being carried under the watchful crescent moon. I made that into a tuck spot and included another little sample of May's coffee dyed paper. And also, even though it's definitely a happy day theme, not a night theme, maybe I'll put it this way. The blues look almost nighttime-ish. That was from an autograph book from 1956. Another stunning Angelica goodie. This is another page in my printable kit. I actually made it myself. I designed some starry background writing paper, printed out a sheet, and then using gold paint, I stenciled a dreamcatcher with a crescent moon, and then I clipped in this dreamcatcher earring, a piece of an earring that has genuine Lapis Lazuli bead chips in it. So that's another piece you can easily take out of the journal and hang it over your bed to bring you good dreams. The First Nations theory of the dreamcatcher is that the woven aspects to it, if you hang them over yourself while you sleep, they'll catch all the nightmares and only good dreams will filter through into your consciousness. So this page here, I designed using an AI illustrator, and it's just a beautiful mystical temple gate at night with beautiful lilies in the foreground. On the tab there, I stuck a genuine piece of a vintage earring, clip-on earring. And then on the other side, surprise, paper doll. This was a printable from my Arabian Nights magic carpet printable kit with some star ribbon as a pocket. But I thought this looks like a beautiful scene for a well-dressed paper doll, of course painted by the beautiful and talented Cat Stone. But yeah, that's a beautiful night magic scene for her to explore. This printable is also in my new night magic kit. Oh, isn't it stunning? I mean, technically, she could explore any page on the book. But I especially like her with that night magical lantern background. Here we have an old secretarial book for shorthand, little fabric tab. This stunning cameo brooch shows the allegory of day and night. We see the sun and the moon in the background over these beautiful maidens. And I stuck in this piece of Austrian ephemera. I think Stern is German for star. And just fold it over so it would fit. That could be a great little element in collage. And we have a mucha painting showing the princess with a halo of zodiac signs around her. And then the center is one of my favorite vintage images of all time. It's a public domain painting showing a fairy right at sunset in this gorgeous grotto. This is also a printable in my new kit, Night Magic. The dangles sewn into the center are, this one is just a cool collection of vintage beads. We have a dark blue glass bead, a purple stone of some kind. It might be dyed, or it might be kind of an opaque fancy jasper, or maybe a very, very opaque amethyst. I'm not quite sure what the stone is, but that was in some happy mail from Tanya, whose channel is called My Jewelry Addiction. And then this gorgeous cut glass bead was in a part of a bracelet that I thrifted, and I bought it just so I could take it apart and use the beads. And these cool vintage brass bells were also from Tanya. And then this one has a dangle of these kind of peacock colors over black bead cluster. That was an earring, but I knew it had to become a journal dangle. And I tried to leave some blank pages for journaling too. I just love this coffee dyed page. So here, on the other side of this shorthand book, I made a tuck spot using this dancing ring of zodiac images. And in there, I printed on just the softest ever paper. It's mulberry paper, and you can actually see the strands of plant matter pressed into it. It's a print of a page out of a Japanese late Edo period encyclopedia. I actually bought that antique encyclopedia thinking I would take it apart and use the pages in my journals, but oh, it's just so historically significant. I haven't been able to bring myself to cut it apart, and I don't think I ever will. I think I'll always just use it for prints. But this one shows the phases of the moon, the complete phases of the moon, not just waxing full and waning, but from dark moon all the way through all the different phases of crescent to full moon, and then back again. If any of you speak Japanese, I would love to know what the characters say in that chart. And also some palmistry, some symbols and charts, so very cool. Blank on the other side. Because obviously anything else printed on that paper would have soaked through. These are washi strips from my printable kit, Arabian Nights Magic. I think I told you that already when I showed the paper dolls and the other side of this. There's the other side of that AI art night scene. Again, a great backdrop for a paper doll or some fun journaling space over that fairy tale castle. There's the full image of this dreamcatcher. And how pretty would it be to fill up these lines with writing around the edges. Another little star. This fabric might be a little bit Christmassy, but I couldn't resist including it because of the golden stars and the beautiful angels. That's a fabric flip to reveal even more fabric. I was at my grandmom's house a couple of weeks ago, and she was showing me some pot holders that she's sewing out of this fabric, and I told her, I was making a night-themed journal, so if she had any scraps or remnants left over, I would love to use them. And lucky me, she did. So I made that into an upper tuck pocket and included a strip of this absolutely beautiful, ornate, kind of Art Nouveau looking handmade coddy paper that was gifted from Cat Stone. How beautiful would this be to fill up with writing using maybe a gel pen, a gold or a silver gel pen. And one of my favorite little peekaboo bits is this little owl earring that I stuck to the center of this fabric tab. You can see it even when the book is closed, and I think it's just adorable. I almost kept that for my personal hoard, and that was a jewelry jar find, but I thought the owls just go too beautifully in this book. Pretty sun and moon charm that you can easily take out and wear. And another stunning night scene fairy grotto journaling card, also in my printable set. So yeah, we'll see the other sides of a lot of these papers. A lot of them I tried to leave blank so they can be used for journaling space. I love how this stencil looks on coffee dyed paper. Beautiful. Also in my kit. Purple velvet sari trim tab. This was out of a book about ancient Egypt, of course. It shows Nut, the sky goddess, over top of Earth, protecting us. And look at how her body is made up of stars. Just so cool. I love Egyptian graphics. And into that, I tucked some sticky notes that show kind of a cosmic, I almost said zodiac, not zodiac, a cosmic theme. More of that beautiful paper by Priscilla. This is another of my favorite pages. I found this really cool stamped metal, kind of Zuni looking jewelry piece in a junk jewelry jar. And I had to make it into the wolf howling at the full moon. So this is just a fussy cut piece of mandala paper out of an old origami book. And then in this pocket, I included a folded page out of a kid's book. Really pretty lunar chart on the other side. I think it's a fantasy lunar chart. I don't think it's real. It might be real. But yeah, I love how that paper looks all folded up. And then I also included some cut pieces of beautiful night-themed napkin that you could use in your decoupage art. A bunny with a full moon and a fox with a crescent moon. And under here I put a stamp of the 3 wise men with the Eastern Star. It's because the star looked perfect for this celestial journal. Mythical, imaginary constellation of a prince and a princess. In this side of that coffee-dyed paper tuck spot, I put a couple more journaling cards. This vintage fairy with that fiery looking sunset sky is just stunning. As I look at this card, I'm reminded to mention it's a great time for us to all pray for Los Angeles. Yeah. When I first put this into the journal, I just thought it was a beautiful sunset image, but of course now it's giving, yeah, a somber reminder of the fires. Pandora's Box, another Waterhouse painting. These are also in my new printable kit. These public domain images, as is this little piece. I think think this is a duplicate. You get 2 of this guy in this journal. One to keep maybe and one to put in some happy mail if you send happy mail. There's a fabric flip on this page just pinned in with a little red tipped stick pin. This was a gift from Cat Stone. She sent me a beautiful piece of this fabric. I have more that I plan to use in my dragon themed journal, but a beautiful phoenix on a black background. And I love the other side too. That's why I couldn't glue it down. I had to make it into a fabric flip because of these beautiful color stripes. Folded over this page, I included a pair of tags by Priscilla that are filled with journaling space on the inside. That's on a page out of a vintage book about French grammar. Conjugating French verbs is traumatic for me. I went to French immersion and boy was it ever hard to conjugate la conjugation des verbes. English is much, much easier. Another beautiful velvet sari trim tab. Isn't that luscious? The pink leaves and the blue flower. My grandma always had potted plants that were pink and green leaves. I love that. Tons and tons and tons of Celestial inspired washi tape. And on this side, I left the cluster of vintage graph papers and little writing book papers and ledger planes so that you can see the gorgeous layered effect. Sometimes in journals, you don't even need embellishments for it to look just opulent. For those of us who love vintage papers, there's nothing better than just layers of papers with varying patinas and different shades of white and beige. The blue and red stripes on this old graph just perfectly go with this Medieval Mirage Boho Bohemian Bazaar red and blue. The last little shooting star for this book, the other side of that 1950 receipt. Beautiful peacock on navy blue velvet that's so dark it looks black, but it is actually a deep, deep indigo. And we're at the back. I love this butterfly frame by Priscilla. So in the back, on this little clip, I attached a locket with an owl's face, and inside I stuffed it with all the extra fussy cut stars so you can glue those down and play with them. That's actually clipping in a full deck of miniature tarot cards. And on this pocket, or in this pocket, I included some beautiful moon and star stickers and a stunning vintage greeting card. Beautiful embossed paper. And I love how the basket of flowers is against a dark background. So that is just sumptuous as far as texture is concerned. Even the inside is embossed. I have 2 of these. The other one I'm putting in my personal journal because I love it so much. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this richly decorated, full of jewelry, night magic journal. And yeah, I hope you are safe, healthy, happy, and creatively inspired. So much love to you. If you feel like this journal is calling to be yours, I listed it in my Etsy shop. Oh, I almost forgot. It's too small it's too big for my pinky, but too small for my other fingers. That's why I kind of wore it as a midi ring. But I found this thrifting and I just adore it. It looks so cool. I just noticed that it's engraved here. Oops. Without my jewelry loop, I can't really read what that says, but that's kind of cool. Anyway, my custom is to give away a matching ring or a thematically inspired ring with every journal. So this cluster of stars is the ring with purchase that comes with this one. If your fingers are too big for it, just like mine, it looks absolutely beautiful tied to the page edges. But if you've got tiny little fingers, or at least smaller fingers than I have, of course it would look gorgeous worn as a ring. Anyhow, that said, the journal is listed in my Etsy shop as of the release of this video, and the printable kit is as well. So if you choose to play with some of those antique jewelry pieces and journal cards, I hope you'll share with me. Tag me on Instagram. I'm at _theartofgems_. I would love to see what you make out of it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in today's flip through. Much love, and we'll see you next time.